because crypto can't be seen. It has no true value, nothing backing it. It can't even produce enough energy. They say it's backed by energy, but there's no way they can produce enough to actually create what they say they're creating. Yahoshua has already let them know none of this cryptocurrency will be indexed. So Bitcoin just flash crashed to just above 61,000. And that was according to Peter Schiff's post to X. So there's a lot of things right now, family, happening. As the wars are continuing to increase, we are looking at the collapse of many systems globally. The old fiat monetary system is crashing. The debt that is created will never be able to be paid off. It's humanly impossible. Therefore, the only option is a true jubilee. Everything's already been brought to net zero, putting it on a level playing field across the planet. It will happen at the jubilee, with all debt on that system will be canceled. So this is affecting the inflation. We're way beyond an inflation. We're into a depression, even though no one is truly admitting it. And the prices of necessities of life are continuing to skyrocket, making it extremely difficult for many families who are already struggling to keep food on their tables. Many of the families are going without food, maybe only being able to eat one meal a day or every other day, and it is becoming worse, family. The support that has been put in place for mankind is the indexing process. Those of you that are on these calls, you already know that. You should have already gotten yourself indexed by now. If you're not, get it done. Many businesses are closing up because they can't even order in the necessary products to create whatever they manufacture if you're in manufacturing. Many service organizations and businesses are shutting up simply because the people are not going out and purchasing their services. So a lot of things are happening, family. Get yourself ready for it, because it's going to get worse. With that, I'd like to go ahead and yield the call to Dr. Hindu I.L. Henderson, the ad hoc Chief Justice of the Universal World Court. He is Yahoshua Mashiach, the Son of Man, the Son of God, in the flesh. Rise and shine, sir.
Rise and shine. How do you hear me?
Clear as a bell, sir.
Outstanding. Let me say, this is the U.S. of A call. We do give them an extra would-be time frame of what we're doing right now. Based upon the fact tomorrow, we will be starting out once again with the United Nations call, Rise and Shine. And bringing this to the U.S. of A is like saying waste of time, really. And when I say waste of time, you have to remember I don't do numbers. But all the other nations that are on the planet is looking at the United States of America right now as a place in which they know for a fact will no longer exist in this new world. They already know that. Reason being because, yes, the land will be there, and many of the people will be there. However, it would not be under any would-be control or any would-be authority or any would-be, for that matter, we would say title that would be classified as the United States of America. Reason being because all the nations have done everything they can do to find some existence of a place called the United States of America, and whereby it is claimed they had would-be treaties with nations. It claims to have had contracts with nations. It is claimed to have something that even goes as far as having a peace and friendship agreement with nations such as Morocco. America has never had any friendship, peace agreement with any nation on this planet. Not one. And even though they have claimed to have so, the United States of America in the 1940s, when World War I was going on and World War II was going on, it was claiming its freedom under the 5 unincorporated nations of the planet, while yet still claiming that they were a young nation that was building. Their problem was very serious, and it still is to this day. They never said where they were building at. Having, if they did say where they were building at, it would have been unacceptable to the planet. Why? Because they were sitting smack dab in the middle of 5 unincorporated nations of people. nations that have already had treaties and agreements, and trade agreements, and you name it. They already were traveling back and forth. They had travel agreements, free travel agreements. And everyone now is wondering how in the world did this one place that no one can find any true documentation of where it came from, how it came to be, where it got its authority from, right? Now what they're saying, who gave it permission? America's still now claiming to be buying land or perhaps in the business of even selling land, leasing land, when they don't have it, never have had it, and will never receive it. The whole fight now between Russia and the U.S. of A. is just that. The U.S. of A. is so in fear that Russia is going to claim back the land, which is to do nothing more than lease to America, based upon the fact they couldn't sell it to America. And the reason why is because they themselves were under a lease for the land. You can't take land that you've leased and sell it to someone else. And even just because you might let someone come in there and live on it for a time of such, providing that they give you adequate would-be so-called payment for your troubles, still will not allow you to sell it to them. And this is the major problem that's going on right now with the U.S. of A. The U.S. of A. has not been able to sell any land whatsoever, and where it's claiming now to be a resident of, or claiming to be some owner of. Everyone that has obtained any type of would-be paperwork from the United States of America with its name on it has been classified to be nothing more than part of a laundering system, whereby that system has been a false system of criminal activity. And the criminal activity gets even deeper and deeper as it goes on, because they didn't just claim to be leasing out land or signing lease agreements, but at the same time, they was claiming that they were purchasing it from someone else. And by the time they came up with some pretty would-be paperwork they called the Declaration of Independence, which also was nothing more than them borrowing a document to use, that they might be able to do nothing more than reproduce it, and at the same time place their name and the titles and whereby once was someone else's name. The United States of America. And right now, America back in, would have been the year of 2000, they began to do nothing more than attack everybody and everything around them. Based upon, they began to talk about paper terrorism. And the United States of America is a nation that is paper terrorism, because no one has been able to find any legal document whereby it was not falsified or it haven't been tampered with. And that's all the way to the Bible. The Christian Bible that the United States of America uses, everybody already knows that it's been tampered with. Just as the Declaration of Independence, just as the Constitution, just as all of the laws in which they so govern themselves about have been tampered with. All the way to knowing that in the Holy Bible there were once words where it says thou shalt not or do not, now only gives permission that one might be able to do it and be accepted. And this now has placed the whole world in a position whereby now they know the United States of America cannot be trusted at no cost, especially when it's a life-costing situation. They would tell you, don't stake your life on it, because you will be giving your life for it. Now, I'm bringing this to everyone's attention because I'm listening now, and as I begin to still hear the social media, and I need everyone to understand that. I need you to understand that what we're doing right now is not part of a social media anything. Clubhouse, Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, any of those systems you might be still operating with, TikTok. I need you to understand that this call is beyond any of those things that could ever be placed on this planet, because for 10 years now, plus, we have been bringing you information whereby it's the total truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And you have found yourself running back to all of these social media sites and these social would-be clubs and these social settings, whereby you hear the people on there talking with ignorance. Half those people are talking about where America and how it began, and they have no clue. Because America never began, first of all. You know, recently they attacked Donald J. Trump about some information he bought during, I guess, one of his campaign speeches. And even I believe that he had found himself on a stage whereby between he, himself, and Hillary Clinton, that he was being asked some questions about some Gettysburg address, some Gettysburg War. And the answers he was giving, they believed that he was less intelligent than a fifth grader. Not understanding that all fifth graders in the United States of America is about the dumbest fifth graders on the planet. Not because they're children. It has nothing to do with their ability to be able to obtain, retain, or understand. It has nothing to do with that. Because the fifth graders are only as smart as the people that taught it to them. And the people that taught it to them are brain-dead rocks. Because they taught them lies, purposely taught them lies. George Washington, a hero. George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. He didn't tell a lie. He completed his task, but he told his dad, he told his parents the truth. Lies upon lies upon lies. None of those things occurred. And definitely not in the order or the manner in which they're being taught. None of them. All the way to their Jesus Christ. They can't even teach it right. No, not America. But they like changing. They like changing things. They like doing nothing more than finding some way to change the truth into a lie. They like doing that. They have built a whole would-be so-called 328 million of people around nothing more than a lie. And these people are willing to die for the lie. They're willing to die for it. Rather than to accept the truth and live, they would rather die for it. You know, again, I say this is not a social media call. And I know we got a lot of people come on here because they're just gossipers. They just on here. Most of them are on here just for money. Some of them are on here so they can exploit some of us that are on here. All they want to do is exploit us. They want to say that they're our wives, they're our brothers, they're our sisters. They want to say they're just our lovers. They're trying to find some way to exploit us. They want to say that they're our kings, our queens, our leaders. They're trying to find some way to exploit us. They're our would-be queens, our lowliest title holders of our land. And most of them, everything that they once owned has been found in a whore bag in the back of someone's would-be 57 Chevy. Stay with me. I'm just calling true so we can get past all of the would-be so-called things that are coming for and at America right now, where all the nations are becoming so now impatient with the United States of America and the crap, and I'm saying crap because that's what the nations are saying, that America presents to the world. Right now, Israel is in a major war, fighting against the Palestinians. At the same time now, they're being attacked by the Iranians, which is known as the Iranians. They're being attacked by them. And the United States of America is standing by knowing very well that the war between Israel and Palestine should never, ever be going on right now. Why? First of all, because the people that are fighting are classified as Israelis, and they're not Israelites. They're not Jews. They have nothing to do with Jesus Christ. They have nothing to do with God. Nothing. They're not his children. They're not his family. He hasn't even adopted those people into his family. And the United States of America is well aware of that. They have been doing that since they set it up in 1940, and they knew it for sure by the time they even made Israel a nation or a state in 1967. And believe it or not, in 1968, with the civil rights bill being signed, the United States of America failed to enter Israel into that civil rights bill whereby they could at least find some kind of way of classifying themselves as being a group of people that didn't have to be abused on anybody's land. They wasn't even drafted or grafted into the Civil Rights Bill, the Human Rights Bill. They were left out. 1967, they had already classified those people as being some so-called Israel nation, but they didn't place them inside of the civil rights. They didn't place them inside of the Human Rights Bill. They left them outside. Why? Because the United States of America knew that it was a made-up nation, knew that it was a made-up area, knew that those people were made up, knew that those people had nothing to do with Jesus Christ. They knew they had nothing to do with God. They knew they had nothing to do with Jews. They always knew that. This is the cruelty that the nation, if it might be called a nation, had did nothing more than placed upon the world all around. Right now, they're beginning to show movies on TV about people like George Washington that they know for fact could not have ever been classified a founding father of the United States of America because it never came to any would-be material standard. It never came. It never happened. And whereby to call him a founding father of a nation that doesn't exist is a lie within itself. And you have to understand that this has been mostly taught in U.S. and American history. A lie. Many of the people down south are still marching and dancing and singing to a song, Yankee Doodle Dandy. They have no clue what that expression even means, Yankee Doodle Dandy. None. They're believing that some Yankees had a lot to do with the people that came from North New York, perhaps as far as Illinois. And they would classify those people as being Yankees based upon the fact that people down south, being Dixies, would have been in some civil war against the Yankees. And knowing that below the Macy-Dixie line, there was nothing there. Nothing. And all the southern white boys now still flying a Confederate flag that really represents nothing more than Jesus Christ being pinned to a cross. An X on a flag. Stay with me. You know, it's hard when one began to get true understanding and you begin to see it visual of it as considered, as it has been considered to be art above all things. Artistic. I didn't say artistic. I said artistic. It's a difference. And whereby looking at all of the representation that the United States has, you know, one might say demonic. No. You can't give them the credit of demonicism because they're not scary enough. They're not even, I would say, evil enough to be able to do anything that would be possibly putting anyone on the planet in total fear. Because none of the nations care. They're not in fear of no United States of America. And the more and more Joe Biden shoots his mouth off about what the United States of America is going to do, the nations begin to laugh even harder. They have never been in any fear, afraid of the United States of America. Never have been. And they never will be. The United States of America has never won a war. Never. Outside its own so-called soil. It has never won a war. It claimed that it won some battle at Alamo. It had nothing to do with a foreign nation. Nothing. Because the people that were fighting there were foreign. And they classified themselves to be Americans somehow, but they were foreign Americans because there was no such nation as America. And that history didn't come about until some would-be 20 centuries later. Everyone is still laughing. The Alamo. And supposedly the Americans won. They wasn't even there fighting because they didn't exist. And the white men that were fighting there were not fighting for America. Most of them was French. There were those that were there were British soldiers. There were those that were there that classified themselves German soldiers. Some of them even classified themselves as being Canadian soldiers. But there were no American soldiers there. I know people don't like hearing this because there's so much that puts them in a position where they become so confused and chaotically so because they still haven't realized that the lies that their history teacher taught them can be found and summed up in the books that you read when you go back now to reading those books, in which were given to you as nothing more than your school book textbook. The school textbooks are full of lies, and that's why now they've been trying to ban a lot of them. Not because they don't want the history to be taught, it's because they realize that history that was taught now is being proven to be a lie. AI has set them on their heels and their heads, because AI just keeps on. Every time they feed something to AI dispels it. Lies. No truth. They even go to the extent of showing that had those people even attempted to do the things they say that they've done, those people would have been annihilated the very moment that they would have attempted it. AI has been able to prove that. George Washington. He couldn't keep himself dry in the rear end based upon having dysentery so bad. For a matter of fact, at 9 years old, George Washington almost died from dysentery. By the time he was a young man, joining the Continental Army, he was still doing the same thing, defecating on himself. He couldn't keep his uniform even clean for a few hours, which expels his story based upon talking about riding in any battle or any war. He couldn't stay on his horse for longer than about 25 minutes, and he had already soiled the back of his horse. And all the great paintings they got now, the majority of them, you see him kneeling down in front of his horse. And that's the only reason, I'm pretty sure, that the horse was having him pray before he got on his back. Stay with me, God Almighty. The manipulation of the world in which we call now the United States of America can be contributed to, and you have to give all credit to the white lies of those in whom presented it as his story. That's exactly what it is. It's only his story. If anyone else had to agree with him right now, they would run the other way, because they know now with this great test that came about in the 20th century called lie detect, that all of them now being tested will be found to be liars. And they're not willing to challenge that, because they also know that during the 20th century, for you to tell a lie can give you up to 5 years in prison that was classified perjury. So most of them now, they opt out on wanting to even tell the story, because they know for a fact it will be perjury, which will at least give them 5 years in prison. And they're not willing to chance it. You would even find men sitting there like James Madison. He's not going to agree with them. He was part of what was classified as the would-be so-called federal papers. He told them in the federal papers, if anything should ever come about of this, I wash my hands, because it's a lie. Oh, everyone knows that Thomas Jefferson was straight. He would agree with any lie that came about, all the way to the women that he slept with, because he was in that old secret society of brotherhood, whereby even he found himself being blackballed from the brotherhood for telling lies to get in. Stay with me. God Almighty. I'm only giving you the truth based upon the fact that there's no options that we can give you right now, because all the nations are well aware of everything that happened. And this is what now makes, one might say, what makes the rubber meets the road, because all the other nations already know this. African laws, 459, which is classified as African laws, whereby men like George Washington was given the ability to be in it. That's why they came up and classified to be in some would-be so-called England laws, which found itself coming through Rosalind Chapel. Rosalind Chapel, as one might call it, found itself being encased in the secret society of what was known as Masonry, the Masonic family, which, knowing that people like Dr. Allen, which was a black man, people like Prince Hall, another black man, who were all under something that was known as the Pentecostal or the African Pentecostal churches. I'm just giving you the truth. Don't get angry with me. And believe it or not, they were very much connected to the English Lodge, if we might call them that, because all the Englishmen had already decided they were going to be friends with the black or the melanated people or the true Israelites in America. And that's why they had already came to an agreement to outlaw slavery, to outlaw what was classified then as even grabbing those people and making them prisoners. And the United States of America was not even in existence. It was classified to be a colony or a kingdom that was being held by Great Britain, even though it was on the American soil. It was only there for one reason, and it wasn't classified as the American soil. It was classified as the Hebrew soil of the Israelites, of the melanated people, that was classified as the original natives of that land. And they had one agreement. It wasn't an agreement. It wasn't a contract. It wasn't a treaty of peace and friendship. No, it was a treaty that Great Britain would be able to house their would-be so-called hard criminals. It was an agreement between the 5 unincorporated nations that all we need is some land to house our hard criminals, our murderers, our child molesters, our rapists, those in whom are doing nothing more than stealing from their neighbors, killing their neighbors' children. We need a place that we can put them whereby they won't be able to make it back home. Far, far away from the places that they're committing these crimes. We need to, if you can just allow us, and all of them placed on this land. I know, some of them had sad faces. They were starving. They were losing weight rapidly. And the people of this land decided that they were going to allow them to become friends. Now you can see why they were hard criminals in their own land, in their own nation, with their own people. You can see why now. Their people wanted them far, far, far away from them. Now you understand why. Because you have not now became their friends, but you have become a victim of their criminality. And they now want to hold on to it, because they just believe that their mothers and fathers were bad people, but they want to believe that they're not. Well, you can't hold me accountable because that was my father. Don't know. I know my mother was agreeing with them, but that's because she was forced to. It was kind of like domestic violence. If she didn't agree, whatever. All this week, I mean, our brother can't even rest. O.J. Simpson ain't even been dead. Not even a full week. And already talking about how he set a bad example for all the black men in the world based upon domestic violence. Let me help you out. The only thing he did was expose them. He exposed the system. That's all he did. He exposed the system whereby if a black man was tied to a white woman, he would be, you're right, accused of a crime even when a crime had not been committed. That's all he did. He exposed it. So don't go popping off and running so fast to claim something that's not true. I know, but you have to understand the laws of the Bible would have possibly got, and I want to tiptoe through this because I don't want anybody to get offended, but I need you to understand the reality of truth. According to your Christian Bible, your Bibles, not mine, your Christian Bibles, had anybody in the biblical times came to their house and their wife was in the house with another man, she would have been put to death. Yes, she would have been. See, for the matter of fact, outside the door would have been a man guarding that door, and he would have been a title eunuch, a eunuch. A eunuch would have been one who would have been castrated. He would have been castrated for the simple reason he would not have still obtained any desire for a woman. And that's the only way he would have been there at that house, and he would have been on the outside guarding the door, not inside the house, because had he been inside the house, that woman, according to your Bible, would have been still put to death. Her head would have been severed from her body. Her body would have been buried one place or her head somewhere else, just in case she had the ability to be a witch or a vampire. They had this weird belief that providing you put the head and the body in the same place, that you could come back together again. Stay with me. I'm not wanting to even say that should have been a situation that should have occurred for Nicole Brown Simpson. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm telling you is that night they have already proven that this Mr. Goldman was just not over there visiting. They also knew that her and her spouse were still married. They wasn't divorced. They also know that both of their names were still on that house as residents. They also know that according to everything that was going on, there was no restriction for that man that he couldn't have gone home at any time. Now, I'm not saying it's okay then. Okay, they're in a fight. Yeah, maybe he should go and get a hotel and stay somewhere else for a while. What I'm saying is that in accordance to the law of the land, that was some violations that took place that night. And it wasn't O.J. Simpson. That's why he got acquitted. I'm just saying, so everyone knows, so they can stop it. Let him rest. Let him rest. And the reason I'm saying that, because the world in which we shall live in now, the United States of America, they have tainted. They have done nothing more than tamper with every law, everything on the planet. That now they got the people so chaotically confused. They got people destroying each other for no reason whatsoever. And the majority of them are only doing it for finance, for money. Not for fame, not for pride. They're doing it for money, for currency, to become rich. You know, we're looking now into situations that are going on in the United States of America that's so also tied to the global reset, and that's the only reason I'm mentioning O.J. That's the only reason I'm mentioning Mr. Goldman. That's the only reason I'm mentioning Ms. Brown, is because of that. Because they got everybody so chaotically worried about situations of that nature when they're destroying you at the very core of your own would-be life. Destroying you. Listen to this. They have already proven that Mr. Davis, and I'm talking about Clyde Davis, has no talent whatsoever. He can't play music. He's basically what they would say tone deaf. And to ask him to dance, you would think that he was having a heart attack or a seizure. I'm just saying. And you have to understand that he has been tied to some of the greatest would-be artists on the planet when it comes down to music. And yes, as everybody has already proven, the majority of those great artists, under his would-be so-called contract or agreement, have came up mysteriously dead, to include their children and their mothers and fathers. No one wants to say Mr. Davis has done any of that himself. When you look at him, you can see yourself, he's having a serious time walking, having a serious time talking. So he can't be that coordinated to be in all these places and be able to carry out those type of would-be vicious crimes. But you better believe he paid someone. And everyone already knows that. Now, the reason I'm mentioning that again, I say all of these things are tied to the global reset. And the reason they're tied to the global reset is because Father God, Yah, the only God of the universe, is bringing about what is known as the prophecy of the universe, that after these things, there shall be a new beginning. And all these things are happening just as they have been written for a new beginning. I know a lot of people you're hitting and missing right now. You don't really want to get it. All you want is a fat bank account. Get you a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini, or at best, a small little Mercedes or a small would-be BMW. Just as long as it's a status symbol. That's all you want. You don't care who dies, who dead, who's going to die. You don't care. You don't care who killed who. You don't. Just give you your Rolls Royce. Give you your two-story house in the Hamptons. Let you move to Napa Valley. You would like to stay right next door to one known as Mark Zuckerberg. Not that you want to be in his community. It's just that you believe by you being close to him, you'll get to know all of his business. Stay with me, God Almighty. My people, who are called by my name, if they only would humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways, seek my face. Only then can they believe that I will hear from them. Not only will I hear from them, but I will heal their land. My people are so caught up. Prime time. Yeah. They like that. They're hurricanes. They like that. Earthquake. They like the name. But when the situation occurs, they run for the hills. They run for the hills. The playmaker. I know. These are some famous names of some of those men that you knew that were great football players. And most of you marvel at what they did. They were good, talented. And even they lost the purpose of why they were so great. They lost that purpose. They forgot that to be able to grab the ball out of the air and run, fighting on a field, almost hydroplaning, 75 yards just to score a touchdown, and hear the crowd screaming and yelling their name. They forgot that was the whole purpose. Because that mean green found its way on a would-be so-called plane of life. And they forgot their whole purpose for doing what they were doing. Stay with me. It's that got worse. Their children right now are even born into the world with no talent. And they're able to buy their way on basketball, buy their way on football teams. Stay with me. I don't care if they get angry. They're able to buy their way on that because they're not good enough to be on those teams. They're not like their dad. They don't have the same would-be talent that he had. They got the same blood, but they don't have the talent. They don't even have his height. They don't have his speed. They don't have his grace. But they buy their way. They buy their way there. You know, it's sad when you see the father sitting there or the mother sitting there, and they were very talented people. And they got their child on stage who don't even have bare minimum talent. And they just paid them to be there. They paid their way to be there. And it's sad. I remember those days in church. You remember those days when you used to go to church. You remember those days when you used to go to your school plays. Some of the children would be on stage with no talent whatsoever. And their dads and moms would be hollering and screaming. Sing! And you'd be wondering, what song are they singing? What tune is that? What note was that they just did? And the parent will be so proud of it. Someone has to sometimes tell the parent the truth. Your child don't have what it takes. They don't have that talent. Let's find something else for them. I'm talking about some of our celebrities. They're like that. Clean up June Duvall. He got sons. They had to realize it's not our talent. That was dad. Now, can't tell them that. Every rapper now has a child that is in the rapping business. Nope, they're not rappers. See, from what we know about rappers, they said rappers are those people that truly experience what they're rapping about. And the average one of their children did not have that same experience. None. And some of the rappers are even stating that now. They're getting into social media fights with their children for even rapping out of their mouth, making statements that they have no clue of what they're rapping about. Now, I'm saying all this because it's tied to the global reset. And we got so many of you out there. You're looking to start rapping and blow up. So you don't want to identify yourself for who you are. And I'm here to tell you all of those things are coming to a close. It's part of what is known as the prophecy. And if you don't get on board, it's going to close out with you. You will be known as the last unknown rapper of the planet. You will be known as the last unknown basketball star. You are going to be known as the last unknown football star. Because all those things are going to come to the pass. And if you're tied to them, you're going to come to pass. You won't be able to get a contract. There will be no companies around. There will be no Nikes coming knocking on your door to give you some would-be so-called $1 million contract to show off some shoes or to show off a jersey or to show off some would-be so-called shorts. They won't be in existence, people. What part are you missing about the global reset? I can go down a list right now and tell you all of the would-be so-called major companies that are still in existence that are now, as I drove the highway today looking off the freeway, at those names of those major companies that now are moving their business close to the freeway so they can at least be seen by the people, whereby they can stay in existence, which still is not going to be enough for them. Everywhere you look right now, there's a Walmart. A Walmart. Come on, people. You have a community Walmart. You have a super Walmart. You just have a Walmart. A Walmart. A Walmart. And they are one of the major would-be areas now that's on the way out. I'm just telling you the truth. Why? They joined what was known as the World Food Chain. But all the other nations have decided now to cancel their contracts with Walmart. You want to know why? Because the products that Walmart carry now are illegal in their would-be nation. The majority of the products that Walmart carry right now tells them that it was bioengineered. And the average nation right now has outlawed anything that says bio. Anything that's got strong chemicals in it, they have outlawed it. So all of those big contracts that Walmart was receiving and was going to receive to be the world food chain, they're losing now. You want to know why they start cleaning up and taking care of home? That's why. Because they're looking for the locals to keep them going. I can assure them they're not Mr. Walmart. It's not going to happen. Because Mr. Walmart, to keep himself going with the locals, he himself has a delivery truck of his own where he used to deliver groceries himself. And I guarantee you, because it's not in their blood, like his children are not talented as Mr. Walmart was. They can't slam dunk. They can't shoot threes. They can't rap. They can't do anything that Mr. Walmart used to do. They couldn't do anything that Mr. Walton did. And whereby, they're going to be going on the out. They're going to be on the out. All of them, they got Lamborghinis. They got Mercedes. They got Mr. Walmart had a red Toyota truck for delivery. Who do you think in their right mind wants to be delivering their would-be so-called goods now in a Lamborghini or a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce or a yacht pulling up on the docks of the neighborhood lake to drop off some goods? So I'm just telling you what's happening right now so you'll understand how everything is tied to the global reset, restoration, network, family of 198 nations. Right now, 9.5 billion people, which will soon be 10 billion people as of 2025, physical year, October 15, 2024. I'm just telling you the truth. You can take it or leave it. I've been telling you the truth now all the way up to this point. I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to change anything I've said to you. It's not going to happen. I told you in 2000 what was going to happen. Most of you were buying batteries. Most of you was watching commercials about the Energizer battery. And believe it or not, when 2000 came and everything fell apart, you missed it. Because you were too busy doing nothing more than watching those Energizer battery commercials and believing that you had escaped the year of 2000. And in the year of 2000, when George W. Bush took over and William Jefferson Clinton on a would-be note of having to go through the Supreme Court in order to be able to enter the White House as the president, because they wanted to do nothing more than proclaim that he and Al Gore had tied in the would-be so-called presidential race. And the only reason they didn't put Al Gore there, because Al Gore, they knew didn't have the courage to even tell a woman to shut up. Second of all, he was so tied up in nothing more than talking about El Nino and all the would-be changes of the planet until they couldn't get him to stay focused on what was going on for real. I'm just calling it like it is. He can speak for himself. William Jefferson Clinton can speak for himself. George W. Bush Jr., if you want to call him that, can speak for himself because they all still on the planet. They can speak for themselves. They can tell you that what I'm saying to you is true. Yeah, I know. A few of them are riding around on yachts. A few of them have Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces. They do. So they forgot the purpose of the reason of why they was on the field to begin with. They forgot that the only reason they was on the field was that they were going to be able to snatch the ball out of the mid-air and glide on the field as if though they were doing nothing more than hydroplaning all the way to the end zone to score one touchdown. They forgot the purpose of why they were doing what they were doing. Ask Ask them. Ask them. No secret. George W. Bush Jr. was a heck of a baseball player. Ask Nolan Ryan. He could tell you that. They probably would have loved to see him playing professional baseball. He had other desires. William Jefferson Clinton, we have to admit, he wasn't too shabby in the musical with the area either. Or he could play a saxophone. He possibly could have been playing in a black group because they loved him then as well. He loved playing jazz. Ask him. He probably could have been backing up someone like a Count Basie or something. Listen to me. They lost the reason of the purpose and why they began to do what they were doing. Ask him yourself. Meantime, I'm going to take a short break.
Thank you, sir.